Hello, welcome back to my channel. For those who are new, my name is Annette Blythin. Today I will take you through my birth vlog and just talk a little bit more and into details about how I go on with the birth of my son, what happened on the day and everything like that. So before we get started, please grab yourself a drink, a cup of tea, coffee, juice, wine. I'm joking, it's only during the week, yeah? But do you know what? Grab yourself whatever you want and let's get started. I've got myself a glass of water. So it's going to be a little bit of a chit chat, but slightly longer than the usual videos that I've done. So yeah, let's get started. Get yourself comfortable, get yourself settled, and let's get into this video. Right, let's get into it. So before we get started, I thought I better sip on some water there because it's gonna be a bit of a chat. So yes, I'm just gonna take you through what happened obviously on the day. So our son Asha was expected to be born end of March, I believe the 22nd of March. So unfortunately, or should I say fortunately, well, unfortunately for me, because he was late, so that meant I was more and more tired. So anyway, it came to his expected date of delivery. Obviously he wasn't here, and we went to the midwives and they gave me a sweep, I believe the following appointment I had. He was expected, sorry, I didn't mention the date, did I? He was expected on the 22nd of March. So yeah, a week later I was given a sweep. That didn't kickstart anything. And then during that sweep, I had a different midwife from my usual midwife, who also on the day realized that I didn't get my last blood results taken. So in the process, she asked me to go and get them done, which was the next day. So she seemed quite concerned to say, I need to get these bloods done. So yeah, I went and got the bloods done. The next day, I didn't realize that those bloods apparently were for, in case I was to have a C-section, they needed the results from those bloods. Ignore the sunshine, sort of. Yeah, little square there, but yeah, we're gonna ignore that and carry on. So yeah, anyway, eventually I got the bloods done and that was all sorted. So also another thing she realized was my midwife got the dates wrong. So instead of running with the 22nd that my son was expected to be born, she was running on 4 days late of the actual expected date. So that messed up a little bit of the schedule at that point, because obviously it meant they had to get me on another sweep quickly, which was what happened. So I had literally 2 sweeps to try and get the baby, ready for birth, but he wasn't just budging. So some of you would ask, what are sweeps? Honestly, I don't know how I can explain it, but basically it's just the midwife put their fingers under there to just try and see if they can open and they can open and encourage the baby to basically come, but they put their fingers, it's very uncomfortable, yeah, and just try and get the baby to get started, basically to come out. So but yeah, that's usually done with the midwife. So I had 2 sweeps that didn't happen. So then they prepared me obviously for inducing. You'd wonder what inducing is, just in case for those who don't know what inducing is. But basically it's when they prepare you after the baby hasn't obviously moved, to go into hospital, and then they use different methods to get the baby out. For me, they used the tablet. So basically my baby was then at this point 13 days late. At this point, I was tired. I was done with waiting. I was literally just like, do you know what? Come out now. So, yeah, we basically, on the 13th day, I believe, 13th? I believe, yeah, it was the 13th day, which was the 4th of April. It was a Thursday. I'm pretty much, yeah, 100%. It was a Thursday. So we got given an appointment to go to the hospital, obviously with our bags ready and packed. Do you know what? With giving birth, for those who are expecting now, especially for those expecting their their first child, you can never prepare on what's going to happen. So as much as you might think, okay, the baby's going to be born on this day, I'll prepare myself by doing A, B, C, D. You know, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you can't prepare yourself. You can prepare yourself, but what I'm saying is the baby comes whenever the baby wants. And not only that, they come in whichever way they want to come. So you can't just be fixed on the baby's going to come this way or that way. You just have to be with an open mindset and just expect that your baby will come whenever they come, as long as they come safely as well. So that's the advice I can give to those expecting. So yes, and also another thing, just a little bit on the advice really. Make sure that your bags are packed, you know. Have a shower before you go in for the induction, because to be honest with you, you don't know how it's gonna go. For example, in my case, which I'll tell you a little bit more about that if I didn't have a shower, for example. But I'm one of those people that, you know, I'm quite prepared. I like to be organized. So first thing, I made sure I had a shower before I left. Also, if you're married, leave the rings at home. For example, for me, also I asked for a water bath. So, you know, you're gonna wonder why leave the rings at home. Sometimes your fingers swell up. 1, 2, you don't want to lose the rings in the water. 3, also when you're obviously pushing in that, you're holding on to your partner. So sometimes the squeezing, it's quite painful when they've got a ring on or you've got a ring on. It's very uncomfortable. So yeah, I would advise you leave the rings at home. What else can I advise? Oh, for the men, hopefully there's some men watching. Yeah, there is some men watching. You have to just have as much as possible of your patience. Literally gather up a ton of patience with your wives or partners, because honestly, what women go through is a lot. And not only that, it's just when you're going through the process of giving birth, you're not thinking of anything else, you know. All you're thinking is obviously the pain and everything else. So you have to have a partner that's understanding and supportive and that can hold your hand throughout the whole thing and make sure that you can concentrate on giving birth to your lovely, beautiful little girl or little boy. So anyway, I'll jump back to the story of us now preparing to go to give birth. So yeah, I gave birth because I live in Cambridgeshire. So I gave birth at the Rosie in Cambridge, which is a beautiful birthing centre, or is it a birthing centre? Anyway, I'll just say a birthing centre, but hospital, beautiful hospital to give birth. So yeah, I chose the water bath, obviously. I don't know, I just find it relaxing to go in the water. You know, don't get me wrong, you might not stay in there for long, but it does help. So yeah, we got our bags ready and we got ourselves set and we left at 3 p.m. or 2 p.m. I can't remember, and made our journey to the hospital at 2 p.m. actually. Made our journey to the hospital. We got there on time and we did the paperwork and everything like that, because obviously we had to fill in some paperwork. The inducing process obviously is my first time. With my first baby, I literally my waters just broke. I was 9 days late compared to my second one. Obviously, my second one, as I said, I was 13 days late. So both births a bit different, which is normal. Births of your kids are never really the same. So yeah, so the best part I think about inducing is the fact that you know you're going in to give birth kind of thing. Don't get me wrong, it might not, the baby might not come at the first inducement, but at least you're prepared to know that you're going in and you know you're gonna give birth. Oh, right, if I move a little bit this way to get the sun out of my way. Right, yeah. So that's what we did. We got to the hospital, did some paperwork, and then obviously they prepared me on the bed and prepared me with the tablet. So basically, they hook you up to the machines and everything to be monitoring. I think it's your heart, or yeah, I think it's your heart or whatever, the baby and you. So they hook me up to the machines and stuff. They put the belts. That's the one, they put the belts around your tummy, and they then inserted the tablet, which is very uncomfortable. But they insert the tablet down below, so that basically makes the process for your baby to come out. I think it just goes and opens what it needs to open down there. So that's what they did, and the tablet was inserted around about 4 p.m. I was adamant that, you know, the baby was coming the same day, but when I asked my midwife, she was like, oh, I don't know, probably tomorrow, which I was like, at this point, you know, I was tired, I was in pain, and I was just literally done, and I just needed the baby to be out because, as I said, I was already 13 days late. And also because I'm quite small, my BMI is quite low, so I'm considered a little bit of a risk when it comes to pregnancy. Not that this is a risk, but it's just for the doctors to be careful and to be aware that, you know, in case of anything was to go wrong, then, you know, I've been monitored quite a lot. So monitoring me included giving me extra scans, which was a bonus. I had, I think, 2 or 3 extra scans, which was lovely to just check that the baby is growing well and everything like that. Yeah, anyway, picking up from now the tablet has been inserted about 4 p.m. So I think half an hour and an hour later, you know, the tablet started working, and do you know what? I was in so much pain. The contractions were coming and everything like that. You know, it was just a case of turning and twisting. I had 2 midwives. I think one was like a junior, the other one was a senior, because she was sort of looking after the younger one, who seemed to be just newly qualified, but they were both quite amazing. So yeah, so the tablet was working and everything, and then later on, about maybe 6 p.m., I was like, you know, can you just check how far I've gone in terms of how far I've dilated? The midwife checked, and I was somewhere like 3 or 4 centimeters. You dilate to about 10 centimeters, so you can imagine I was pretty much at the beginning, and at this point I was feeling like, oh gosh, you know, I just need this baby out. So anyway, my husband was obviously there with me, so we just literally just waited and waited, but the pains were just getting stronger and worse. And as time went, I could feel the baby was coming, and I told the midwife, I was like, do you know what? I think the baby is coming. She was like, no, you know, it's going to be a little while. But what she didn't realize, yeah, the baby was actually coming. So later on, about I think 8 p.m., the contractions were now getting closer. I think it was now every 3 minutes or every 2 minutes. So they had to quickly ring up for the doctors and move me to a birthing room or birthing center, because I was sort of in a shared place where other pregnant women were also waiting basically to have their baby. So anyway, I was moved to this other room, and I was literally in that other room for about maybe an hour, in this other room. We got in there, they put the water in, because remember I did ask for a water bath. So they put the water in, and I jumped in the water, sat in there maybe for a good 10 minutes. And honestly, I was out on my knees. The pain was just too much. So I said, you know what, I'm not going to sit in there much longer. So shortly after, literally, I could feel the baby coming. So they then called in a doctor, because they also realized that the baby heartbeat was dropping. So they had the doctor in and many other midwives and stuff. So then obviously the pushing started and everything. I believe the baby came quicker than expected. So this is now getting to about 9 p.m. So the pushing started and they were monitoring the baby, and the heart rate was dropping and dropping. So the doctor just said to me, we need to get this baby out because obviously it's getting a bit dangerous. So yeah, I pushed and everything, and the baby came. But unfortunately, I could feel I had literally ripped, because there was a lot of bleeding. I just felt and I heard, it was literally like a tap running, but it was obviously my blood just literally pouring. So I remember I was holding the baby here. Obviously, I'm laying down and I've got the baby on my chest. My husband is on my left, and the doctor is literally in front of me, and many other midwives. Another thing, they had the little table that they've got the tools on. Oh, I think I'm gonna have to move again, don't I? Right, just bear with me 1 second. Oh, right, yeah, get away from the sun. So yeah, I could hear the midwife, the doctor looked at the rest of the midwives, and she was like, oh, I can't see where the blood is coming from, because there was so much blood just coming out. And she's obviously down there looking, and there was just so much blood pouring, and the other midwife was just giving her towels. She asked for some towels, and they put the towels down. And then she was obviously working down there, trying to figure out where this blood is coming from. And I look at my husband, and literally he is looking so horrified and concerned to say, what is going on? So I said to myself, do you know what? Do not panic. Just hold on to the baby and just focus on the baby. So literally that's what I was doing. The next thing I know, the injections are coming in, anesthetic injections, and they, yeah. Oh gosh, I've just literally thought about it now. So anyway, they gave me the anesthetic, and the doctor started sewing me up, and literally, yeah, sorted that out. Within no time, she was done and finished. Yeah, so yeah, sorry, I've just gone back to that moment. Yeah, she literally sewed me down there and finished, and she was done. So they then said they need to check how much blood I've lost. Obviously, that is to make sure if I need a blood transfusion, if I've lost that much blood, or if I don't. So when they weighed the towels and everything, I had lost 1.5 liters of blood, and luckily you have to lose 2 liters of blood for you to get a blood transfusion. In between, honestly, I was just praying that I don't need that blood transfusion. So when they had gone, obviously, to weigh the blood and everything like that, I was left obviously with a baby and my husband. I think it was a good an hour, no, probably more than an hour, a good 2 hours or so, when they had gone. In between, I had now fed the baby, and the baby is sleeping. And, my husband, I think I had asked him to go home, because at this point they didn't have a spare room they didn't have a spare bed for my husband. And considering he had been awake throughout the night, I think this was now gone midnight or something, because the baby came at 9 p.m. So I just said to him, do you know what, go home, because we live about half an hour drive from the hospital. So I thought to myself, he's better off to go home, get some rest, and come back. So when he had gone home, I was thinking to myself, right, the baby's sleeping, I don't feel too bad. I might as well just go and have a shower. Well, did I just not find out that wasn't a good idea? So I got up to go and have a shower, and literally, luckily, I had two midwives in the room with me, and they were sort of just behind me to support me. And when I got up to go and have a shower, I literally walked 2 steps out of the bed. Honestly, I was about to fall down, halfway collapsing, and they literally just got me back and held me and said, you know what, it's not worth it. Go back, lay down, and don't worry about the shower for tonight. So, which, as I said earlier, make sure you at least have a shower, get yourself ready before you go to the hospital, because it's just not a good idea. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So obviously, clearly, I had lost so much blood, but because I was always on the bed, I didn't my body hadn't sort of realized or given me that, oh, you've lost so much blood. But obviously, with that walk, then I found out, didn't I? So anyway, so I lay down then, and I realized to say, you know what, yeah, this is quite a lot. Anyway, so yeah, I then just went to sleep and stuff like that. But obviously, you do get the midwives coming in. I think it was every hour, every couple of hours. I can't remember, but you're just so often that you can't really sleep, to come and what were they checking for? I think it was blood pressure, if I'm not wrong, or whatever they were checking for. I can't even remember now. To make sure it's stabilized and stuff. Then the next day, the doctor said it's best they keep me in again, rather than let me go home, to just make sure that I'm stable and stuff like that. So obviously, my mom, my husband, and most family members came in to see us. But I was in hospital for a good 2 days, because I went in on a Thursday. Yeah, no, 2 days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We came back home on the Sunday. So yeah, that's how much I was in hospital for. What can I advise to those who are new moms once again, going into hospital? Yes, it is scary to go into labor, and to think, I'm going to go through all this, push the baby out and things like that. But just remember, you are in safe hands, and the doctors and the midwives know what they're doing, so they will look after you. All you have to concentrate on is, honestly, give birth to your child, your beautiful child, and that's only that. For me, it's been, I think, two completely separate, two completely different experiences between the two births, my first one and my second one. I would definitely say my first one was easier to my second one. And also, by the way, my first one weighed 7.10 pounds, and my second boy weighed 8.7 pounds, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 8.7 pounds, I believe. Yes, not even I believe. I know he weighed that. So, but yeah, completely two different births. They usually say the second one is easier, but you never know, and you can never prepare or predict how it's going to go. But you just have to be in there and say, do you know what? It's just be positive. Do your exercises and things like that. Obviously, don't overdo it, and make sure you're safe when you're doing these exercises. It does help. Take a bit of walks and stuff like that to just prepare for the birth. What else can I touch on? Obviously the aftermath of losing blood. So I was then put on some iron tablets to just make sure that I can get my iron back, obviously because of the loss of blood. Also, I was given some injections to prevent. I was given some injections to thicken up the blood. So honestly, to just inject myself on the belly, to just make sure that, because obviously I lost a lot of blood, I don't carry on losing blood. I hate injections, so I was given injections for 10 days, which to me was just worse. because obviously I was dealing with just coming out of hospital and stuff like that, and then obviously I had to come home and inject myself, because my husband was like, no, I'm not going to inject you. I was like, oh. So anyway, I didn't mind. I injected myself for 10 days. I had a lot of help anyway around me. My mom was around, and my family was around, so it was easy. And well, not easy, it was easier than you know basically, yeah. Yeah, so I don't know if I've left out anything, but I think that's about that. um if you have similar experience, please just let me know how you go on with yourself. Leave a little comment in my message comment box, and yeah, let's hear your side of your birth and your story, and let's share and talk about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.